Well, looky what we have here. I came over to the other house and they're doing the blacktop. They're doing the asphalt. So the road is, I guess, getting close to completion. It's awesome. Sound's probably going to be annoying. I'm going to pause for a moment and I'll possibly do more video. Alright, he seems to be done backing up now for a while. I don't know what I had in mind for today. I just thought I would get a little video of this garden looking beautiful. I'm so happy that I got some mulch in on that upper terrace. I really want to finish weeding now and get the rest of the mulch laid down, because prior to that application of the mulch, I've never done mulch on that terrace, and so it just makes me feel like I'm finally getting somewhere with this garden. I know this part still looks really bad, but once I pull out most of the grass and weeds, I can just lay down mulch like I did there, and it just makes it drastically better and helps suppress more weeds from growing. So it's a step that I need to get done. Not today, on my next days off. I think this next Friday, maybe I will try to get that done. What's today? Thursday? No, I work this weekend. Next Monday, Tuesday, possibly. Anyway, let's focus on what is looking pretty. We have some really pretty pincushion flowers blooming. And I see a gorgeous, what are these called? Hibiscus? Hardy hibiscus? I didn't get a lot of blooms on these this year, and my theory is that it's because they didn't get a lot of water. So this is a dry, full sun terrace bed, and because of that, if I choose to keep these here, they're just not going to get a lot of water. You see how the leaves are curling? I mean, if my water was running at this house, I could at least give them some supplemental water, but I can't even do that this year because of the tree situation. So they would normally have more flowers and be prettier even, but still not too bad. By the way, this annual that I've been going on and on about, I did find the name of it. One of its common names is Purple Prince. So people might know it by that name, Purple Prince. And I can get seeds for it. I can grow it from seed. I can, I'm going to try two different things this winter. I'm going to try digging some up and planting some in soil and keeping it indoors under lights as like a house plant. I'm also going to try taking clippings from it and growing it in water like I did with my potato vine, because the potato vine was so successful. Now I don't know if this type of plant will do the same thing, but if it's that easy to grow roots, you know, if it'll grow in water, then I'll just do that and hopefully get a lot of free plants for next year. The asters are starting to open. I don't know if I've got two different color plants here, or if they're just pink when they first open and then turn purple. I think maybe I have two different color plants, which I didn't realize, but that's okay. I actually think it's really pretty. I can't wait till these all open up and start blooming. Can see we are on the verge of that happening. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come over. I really like this combination of the purple and the silver and the regular green. I like the different size of, you know, the leaf textures. That's just one of the things that I find really pretty. Like I love this silvery artemisia next to a broader leafed potato vine. And the same thing with the yarrow back there. I did cut back that yarrow and, the silver foliage. That's why I have so many different things that are silver, like the sage and the lamb's ear and the artemisia. I really like those pops of silver in my garden. Here's another one, is the snow and summer plant. So I need to add some silver in here somewhere, and I need to add some purple or red foliage in here as well. In fact, something that I had intended to do, but I didn't get around to it this year, is I wanted to take some of my iris, my bearded iris, and bring some down to this level. So that way in spring when it blooms, I don't just have blooms on the second terrace. I'd like to also have some blooms on this lower terrace. And in fact, that's something that I can still do even though we don't have water at this house. I could come in, and I will do that. When I get up and weed all of this stuff, I'll do that. But I'll come in and cut the leaves down really short and pull up, what's left of the leaf and the rhizome, and then like replant some of it down here in this lower terrace, because that's something that it doesn't need to establish so much as I just need to do it at the right time. So like right before winter, that's probably when I'll do it. I don't know, anytime now, probably in the next like month I can do that. But I'd like to make a couple of different groupings. But another thing that I like about the iris, not just that it'll be blooming down here in spring on the upper and lower terraces, but also that silver color of its foliage is really nice. And I just like to create that layered look as much as possible throughout my garden. It's also the same reason why I like these cactuses. So the cactuses that are in amongst the sedums provide that pop of kind of like a silvery, almost a bluish green color, in contrast to the deeper greens of the other colors, other flowers. That goldenrod is looking stunning right now. It's too bad that I have a bunch of dead grass and weeds and stuff in there. Hopefully on my next days off, I will be able to finish getting this second terrace weeded. I'd really like to get that done and get the rest of the mulch laid up there so that we can see how pretty something like that is when it's not surrounded by a bunch of just junk. But that goldenrod is gorgeous. I mean, just gorgeous. I got that from my neighbor across the street. I've told this story before, but it's really funny. She gave me what she thought was phlox. It was really small and coming out, in spring. And so she gave me a transplant, and she's like, here's some phlox from my yard. This lady here, Mary, she's a sweetheart. And anyway, when it grew, I was like, this is not phlox. But then she did end up giving me some phlox later in the year when we discovered what had happened. And unfortunately, that phlox that she gave me got run over by the tree removal people with their little tractors and whatever. So once again, I don't have the phlox, but I'll see if I can get some. It might grow back in spring. So we'll see if I can get a little survivor. We'll see. We have our usual pollinator visitors all over the oregano. My 4 o'clocks look kind of sad, actually. I think they're not getting enough water, and unfortunately, since I don't have water, there's nothing I can do about it. I just wish it would rain more so that they would be happier. But This is what it's looking like today in the garden. I think it's September. Not sure what day, 4th, 5th. I just cut this blue salvia back not long ago, and it is reblooming. I love salvia for that reason. It just keeps blooming all summer as long as you keep deadheading it. I should do it even more. I see a bunch more that I could cut back, and we've got probably at least a few more weeks of warmth in our forecast. But the temperatures are starting to do things like get cool at night, even if they still are getting up into the 90s during the day. My pink salvia and yarrow. I keep saying I'm going to cut this back and try to get one more bloom. I really should, because it's really pretty when it's fresh in bloom. But this brown color is not so much. Some of my newly planted clearance sedums doing okay. They'll look better here in a few weeks, but they're doing okay. These two plants, don't know what they are. I think it might be Artemisia and another kind of Artemisia. So I told this story before. I bought this plant. It was much smaller when I bought it. And it was in a little pot, and I think it was Artemisia. I'll see if I can find a tag, but this plant was just growing in the same pot with it. And so I was like, oh, I'm getting 2 for the price of 1. But the funny thing is, once I started thinking about it, I was like, well, is this actually the Artemisia? Is this like what the tag was that I was buying? And maybe this was just like a weed that was growing in there? Or was this the plant that I was buying, and then this was just an extra in there? And I don't really know. So if anybody watching knows what either of these are, please let me know. But this has the coloring, like Artemisia is frequently this silver color, and it also frequently has yellow flowers, which this does. So I don't know if maybe this was what I purchased that said Artemisia, or if this was, or if they both are. I don't know. But I like how this one's growing over the side. So whatever it is, it's cool. It kind of looks like a fern, but it can be in full sun, so that works for me. See, I also have some roses up there in bloom. My icebergs and those kind of corally pink ones. I can see some dahlias up there, kind of pointing the wrong way, but that's okay. I have some cannas in bloom up there and cosmos, but mostly what I would like to reveal is that goldenrod. And I do see pollinators flying all around it. Even from here I can see through the weeds. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else pretty in the yard that I can show you.
My dog hears the next door neighbor's dog. This hydrangea is one of those dark foliage varieties. I forget the name of it, Eclipse or something like that. I'm hoping it just makes it because it looks like the deer are eating it. And there was another one that was over here that totally died, so I had to pull that out. So now I'm down to one, and yeah, I'm just hoping it makes it until we get the fence put back up, and then I'll move this behind the fence along with a bunch of my other hydrangeas now that I know that they're eating them. It sucks. This plant right here is Gara. It is, I think it's called whirling butterflies, but it gets these pretty little white flowers, and when the wind is blowing, it blows around kind of like grass, and it's really beautiful. It's just very airy and light. The elephant ears looking like they need something. Water, fertilizer, both. These climbing roses look okay, but I don't see any buds on them. I'm wondering if the deer are eating these too. When we were living here, I don't think we were getting quite as much deer damage, but now that no one is here most of the time, I think they just feel more comfortable coming in and eating all my stuff. Some dahlias that look all right. I've got some older ones on there that I need to pull. Ooh, that one's really pretty. Let's try to see this one that's just opening. You can see the yellow inside as well. Anyway, it's pretty. My dog's pulling on her leash. That's why my camera's jerking. I'm sorry. Secret, stop it. One of these days I'll be a professional and get like a, what do you call them? A tripod thing to do some videos. I think these might be my first elderberries. There's not many of them. Birds must be getting them. But this is my black lace elderberry shrub. This plant right here, I always forget, I think it's called Elegant Feathers. And I bought that as like a little 6-inch, I think it was marked as an annual, but then I looked it up online and it said it was hardy to zone 5 or 6. So this should come back for me next year. And it's super cool. I don't have anything else that looks like that aside from maybe Cosmo foliage. But I think it's really neat. I don't even think it flowers. But I'm definitely hoping that comes back next year. Somewhere in the grass here is where I had that phlox that I was telling you about that my neighbor gave me. And then the tree people came by and ran over everything with their tractors in my garden. So this whole area used to be a garden bed. About probably 10 or 15 square feet of roses, and there was some boxwood and some just all kinds of things. Salvias, those white salvias are some of the survivors. Phlox, but yeah, like phlox, roses, just a bunch of stuff planted in here. And when the tree fell, they came through here with their tractor thing over and over again and drove right over all of my stuff. So that is upsetting. Here's another Gara plant. This one is different than the whirling butterflies. It's like a red variety, which is not looking great with all the grass around it, but this is a really pretty one as well. It gets pinkish red flowers. And then this rose is Bonica. See a little bloom out, and I also see some hips. That's exciting, my first rose hips. This plant is anemone. I think this is the one that's supposed to spread really bad, and this is like the 3rd or 4th year I've had it. And not only has it not spread, but I have never even seen a flower off of it. But let me tell you what, I think the deer are eating it, because what else could it be? Oops, I just ripped a piece out. But supposedly if this plant's healthy, it will spread really quickly and can be a nuisance and possibly even invasive. So I've kind of thought about taking it out, but then it just hasn't done well for me. And so I thought, well, it's not spreading. But look at all of these stems. Like, I haven't been cutting on this, so something has been eating this, and it's got to be the deer. So maybe when I have the fenced in area, I'll move that to the back. Lots of things are going to have to get moved behind the fence, I am realizing. This is another, same as that one. It's an Eden, pretty in pink Eden climbing rose. And they get these enormous pink blooms that are gorgeous if we get to see them before the deer eat them. This rose is called Sweet Peggy, and I haven't seen any blooms off of it yet. But again, the deer. I do see some branches with what looks like clipped endings. And I did not do that, so that tells me that something is eating them. But this rose, what's interesting about it is it's kind of a prostate rose, so it just kind of lays flat, sort of. So I guess I would call it like a ground creeper for a rose. Pretty sure that's another Gara right there, that shrub. And then this area looks pretty bad because they threw a lot of fence debris over here, and I can't really properly mow or anything around here. And I also need to get into my rose bed and weed. But I've got some pretty lavender growing. So there's some right there. Here's one here. There's another one here. Secret, what do you think of the lavender? Is it pretty? So this whole area will not look good until I get it weeded. Some roses not doing so hot, like this Tuesday McMain's not doing good at all. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe the deer are eating it. I see a lot of die-off down there at the bottom. Look at all of these bitten off tops. Damn it. I'm gonna have to move my entire rose garden behind the fence, because that's what it's looking like. The only ones that seem to be making it are the ones that are on the front of the terrace there, which is probably because the deer don't get into that area. So yeah, even these ones here on the edge, so there's this debris right here, but the deer, I believe, are eating this one that they can reach, I would assume, which is called Jacques Cartier. It's a David Austin rose, and I can see the bitten off tops on it, so yeah, they must be eating those as well. That's really frustrating. I'm trying to figure out the layout of the house when we rebuild, and I'm thinking more and more that I want to, instead of having the house go back kind of long and narrow the way it is right here, I'm thinking about when we rebuild it, adding onto this way, making it come out further, maybe up almost to this bed. And then the same with the kitchen even. So like I want there to be like 2 extra bedrooms here and then the kitchen. And so what that will do is open up this back space in the back of our yard for more fenced in area. Because currently, really the only place we have the ability to fence in our yard is a very small side yard on the west side. And I'll show you that. It looks extra bad, weeds wise and all that stuff, but it hasn't been touched in almost 3 months now. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, this is the only area that was fenced, and it's pretty small. And it also, because it's between two houses, it doesn't get a ton of sun. So I was a little limited on what I could grow over here. But if I make the house, instead of extending back so far like this, if I make it extend side to side further, like I was showing you, then we'll be able to possibly fence in more area back here, so I could have more places that are protected from the deer. So what I'm picturing is see where that corner is? If that extended out, we could fit probably 2 bedrooms in that space up there. 2 bedrooms and possibly a bathroom. And then instead of having this come back long ways, I want to turn it sideways. And so the kitchen would be kind of this way. And then this whole back area over here could turn into fenced in area behind what would become the back of the house would be over here. And if I could fence in all of this area over to the garage, that would give me a lot more garden space where I don't have to worry about deer. So that's kind of my thoughts right now. To be continued.